Wow, has it really been like 20 years since the Attack of the Clones blue carded saga series hit? Saga? 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 I think we're going with saga. Well, yeah, that's because it encompassed the entire Star Wars saga. You got characters from episode 2, even if they were, classic characters, but clearly in episode 2 looks. And we got original trilogy characters in their original trilogy look. Well, actually, yeah, I guess now looking back, this could have been a Rogue One character, but Rogue One didn't exist at that time. And then, of course, you had the ones that were clearly from Attack of the Clones, but looked a lot like they could show up in the classic trilogy. Very different from how Episode 1, which had its own dedicated toy line, which was adjunctive to the Power of the Force, which was the classic trilogy. These were combined for Power of the Jedi after Episode 1, mostly because in Episode 1's second year, the toys didn't really sell that well, and there wasn't a justification to have two lines. Which is why for Episode 2, we got one line, which means it was the first Star Wars movie to not have its own dedicated toy line. It was a combined line. In fact, I think it's one of the only ones because Episode 3 had its own line too. So yeah, Episode 2 kind of definitely stands out. The only one that had everyone. One of the neat things they did were blast effects. So the next classic trilogy figure in this series is the Endor Trooper. And you'll notice at the end of his little rifle there, he has a extra bit of red removable plastic. And that's because the Saga line introduced blast effects, which honestly I thought was one of the coolest things. I mean, it makes the characters on your diorama shelf look like they're in the middle of battle. And for people who display it that way, I really wish they hadn't stopped this. I thought it was awesome. And if a character had a gun, they usually came with a blast effect. Sometimes they also had action features as well. And if it was a Jedi who, don't use guns, except when they do, you could get a reflection blast effect, meaning it's hitting the blade and bouncing off, like it did, for Luke or Qui-Gon or, any of the Jedi, etc. So yeah, again, I kind of wish they never stopped doing this. I thought it was an awesome way to make the toys more displayable, more playable. Well, I guess that was the whole put the action back in action features is what they were going for. Now, the Rebel Trooper here didn't have an action feature. Not all the figures did. This was kind of one of those, let's build an army character, so maybe they felt they didn't need the action feature in it. Not really sure what, made their choice of either action feature or no action feature, but this character did get a refresh a few months later with a different head. Again, letting you army build so your army didn't just have to be the guy with the goatee. Same figure, pretty much exact same deco, very, very few changes. Just the head got swapped. In fact, there were no changes to the deco at all, unlike later versions of troop builders that would get not only head swaps, but they would also get deco changes. For example, this exact tool was used later on for a black and a white Endor Trooper, but they also changed the colors of the pants and the sleeves and the shirt, so it wasn't just a straight repaint the way these two are, but you can see it was the same tool even more. So this tool got 4 heads by the time we were done. This was the Saga Collection, not to be confused with the blue-carded Saga Collection. I know they all kind of had the word Saga in it. So yeah, same tool, new head, and then the new head got a newer head. And now we had 4 Rebel Troopers all using this body. At least with this one, they had both of them in the card art, which was kind of neat. Now, of course, for those who had been army building Endor Troopers, we had started with the Power of the Force 2 version, which was a little boxy. And even this one got a better paint op later on in one of the tin commemorative sets, which we'll get to when we get to the commemorative tin sets. But then there was a third Endor Trooper tool introduced later in the line in time for the vintage collection with the trench coat, which also got head swaps. So between all the head swaps and the 3 different body types, we got quite a lot of Endor Troopers. And it's interesting looking at the film references. Yeah, there are quite a lot of Endor Troopers. Some of them are in gray, some of them are in green. Some of them have trench coats, some of them have ponchos. And yeah, I'm sure that someone has, gone and tracked them all. Some people even say this guy is General Rex from the Clone Wars, and they're still talking about retconning that, but I don't know. He's the one who wears the Scout Trooper outfit. Either way. So obviously all of our Endor Trooper playing, collecting started with this guy back in the day, and we really haven't truly gotten this exact version of the Rebel Trooper in the modern line, more as the pity. We've gotten close, and I honestly think the Power of the Force 2 one is probably the closest, but it's not exact. It's a different backpack. It's square, not round, and the shirt is fully buttoned. And looking at all of the different versions, you have, the camo trench coat, the beige vest, the camo jacket, the beige vest with a camo jacket. So there's a lot of mixing and matching, and honestly, looking at all the different Rebel Troopers that have come out, it's a little hard to tell if they're supposed to be someone specific. I mean, the vintage one kind of looks like this guy, but I think he actually looks a lot more like this guy on Han's left, especially because he's got his shirt partially open there. So you could kind of say the Power of the Force 2 one is this guy, especially with the square backpack, and that makes now this blue Saga collection one this guy, because he kind of looks like him, and he does have a beard, and I guess that makes the one without the beard this guy. So yeah, it's tough. They haven't really done a good job of making like the exact extras. They tend to, and by they I mean Hasbro, in all of their troopers, giving us kind of a generic dude. And, generic or not, it's nice to at least have variety. But honestly, in my preference, I would love to get the exact extras as action figures. But the chance of that happening, well, I got some Tonica sisters to sell you.